welcome to the workshop. I am Ray, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I came up with these Amory Wars Funko Pops, custom Funko Pops that I did for my favorite band, Coheed and Cambria. Back in, I think, 2018, I had just started doing different kind of custom builds, and I had made a Coheed and Cambria Funko Pop, and it wasn't the best, but it was pretty good for just starting out. So I figured, you know, with a few more skills under my belt, I should go back and kind of revisit that old build I did a few years back and see what I can add to it now and make it 10 times better, in my opinion. And this comes with now custom boxes that my light source is blown out, but you'll see when the video goes on. This is real fun to make, and this is going to be linked on my Etsy page. At the end of the video, you can check the description below, and they will be up on Etsy for you to buy. So let's get started on the video. So when starting off with Coheed here, this is a Fat Thor, or Bro Thor, I think it was the Funko Pop. It's the Thor from the, I think that was Endgame, where Thor, you know, was overweight, blah blah blah. I used to Funko Pop for Coheed on there. So normally what I do is I get not isopropyl alcohol, nail polish remover, acetone, and normally with Funko Pops, the eyebrows are painted on, and the paint is of the whole Funko Pop is actually the skin layer, the skin color. So normally what you do with Funko Pops, if you want to get rid of the eyebrows, just take a little isopropyl alcohol, take a little acetone and rub it on the eyebrows where you want. But in this one's case, I'm guessing the skin tone was painted on secondary and the eyebrows were masked off, because when I went to remove the paint on the eyebrows, that brown color came up, which is not what I was expecting to happen. So what I wound up doing was repainting the whole face. I didn't want to do that because I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, but if you do that, just be careful on some of these Funko Pops. I believe you'll see Cambria a little later. That was actually how normally, you know, you can just wipe off the paint on it and you should be fine. So just keep in mind, be careful on that. So now that the Funko Pop for Coheed is all painted on the face, I left out the eyebrows because the eyebrows are going to go last. I actually use a vinyl cutter to cut those out so that I get perfect eyebrows each time. I don't have to try to. I tried that before, trying to paint eyebrows on there, and they can never match up perfectly. It's just annoying. So basically all I did was just get my black paint and just start filling in the beard and the hair and making sure that the color was consistent, and trying very hard not to get it like around the mouth area or like along the hairline, just to minimize as much cleanup work as possible. So for Coheed, I found a Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings Funko Pop from the Marvel movie, and when I saw the Funko Pop, I said, well, this is really cool because he's already in like a pretty cool pose, and he already has that bladed right hand, which is kind of reminiscent of Coheed's right hand cannon. So all I had to do was 3D print a cannon that I did for Coheed. You can watch the video right up there. I 3D modeled that, took a couple reference photos, and it turned out pretty well. I'm glad on how it turned out. But for Coheed, all I had to do was just black out his arms and his chest plate here that has like a, I think it was Hydra, or would that be Hydra? I didn't get a good look at it, but that all it took to do Coheed, and then I added some blades to his left arm a little further down. Like I had mentioned earlier for Coheed, this time with Cambria, it actually worked out the way it's supposed to with the acetone. So I just took a little acetone on a Q-tip and rubbed it right over Cambria's eyebrows, and it actually came off exactly the way I wanted it to, and I didn't have to do any touch-up repainting, which actually worked out pretty well because her skin tone on that particular Funko Pop was a little harder to kind of correctly match it with the paint I had. So next up, just like Coheed, I went around and painted Cambria very carefully and delicately along the hairlines and around the back of the hair, just to minimize any cleanup that I would have to do later on. And now I'm gonna work on her eyes. Getting the paint the color I wanted to was a little tricky, but I'm overall happy with the way the eye color turned out. So for Coheed's right arm cannon and his armor, what I did was, since I painted all of it black, a really cool tip you can do is get some stuff. It's called Rub and Buff, and I get the silver metallic flake, and all you need is just a little bit. You dab it a little bit on your paintbrush, and you just go over the high points on it, and it gives it a really cool metallic 3D kind of effect, and all the black that's down in the recesses stays there, so it gives the color a nice pop. Also, what you could do is you can take some silver or some black and white paint, make gray or any shade of gray you want, and dry brush on there to give you the same effect. But I wanted that kind of metallic kind of shine to it, which I think really makes his armor and chest plate and like his right cannon kind of pop. So I'm gonna gloss over Jesse real quick. His was pretty cut and paste. It was really just about removing the head from the Starship Troopers character, which already had like military fatigue kind of outfit, and holding a space rifle, for lack of a better term. And then I took the head off of a Funko Pop of a WWE wrestler. I'm sorry, I don't really know the name of who it was, but all it was just taking one head off the other and just slapping the body on that one, and I kind of put him to the side and focused more or less on Coheed and Cameron, since they were the more intricate pieces that I worked on. Lastly, came up with just assembling the Funko Pops. Since Jesse, all it was stick right on there. Coheed was pretty straightforward too, because it was the donor body was a bobblehead, and the head donor was a bobblehead as well. So all it was just fitting the metal spiral back into the groove and twisting it down. Cambria, on the other hand, was a little tricky because her donor, I believe her donor body that I got was a bobblehead, so it has the neck stem, the extended neck, and it doesn't have that little half circle that like kind of cups into the inside of the Funko Pop. So what I had to do was get, and this is, I've done this before, you just fill up the head a little bit with hot glue, and what happens is once the hot glue goes inside the head, it cools down, and it actually makes like one of those like kind of cup. You just stick the head in there, leave it upside down, it cools in a few seconds, maybe like 10 seconds. It'll cool down, and it should be able, and then you can turn it. It'll function as a normal Funko Pop instead of just a bobblehead. Alright, so now getting towards the end here, only thing left to do is cut out all the graphics for the boxes. What I wound up doing was taking 3 Funko Pop boxes that I had, and just spraying them with a flat white primer, just getting them ready so that way any of the old images from the recycled boxes that I'm using don't show up on the new boxes when I put the sticker paper down. So getting towards the end of the video here, only thing left to do is put the decal paper on the boxes themselves, and I'm actually pretty glad that I went ahead and painted those white beforehand, because the images that I printed were slightly smaller than they needed to be to fit 1-for-1 on the original decals, but with them being white underneath, it blends in perfectly with the paper, and I think they look pretty cool. And I also, not videoed here, I put them in protective cases just to preserve the ink and the paper themselves. And if you do want to purchase this on Etsy, I recommend you keep them in the cases, the protective cases, or you know, if you want to take them out to display them, just be very careful and handle with care, you know, to when you take them in and out of the protective sleeves, because the decal paper has a tendency to kind of want to roll back, just so be mindful of that. But in the description below, you will find links to my Etsy, where this will be at, my Redbubble, which you can buy stickers and t-shirts and everything, designs that I've done. Also the Patreon, to consider becoming a Patreon. You'll get a special shout out at the end of the video to anybody who joins the Patreon. You also get access to perks or whatever, and I think one of the tiers I have, you actually get a more hands-on thing with the channel. You know, you get input on what creations I make next. But one more time, I'll say the Etsy, follow me on Etsy. You can see all the creations I post, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube, like, comment, all that good stuff. The Patreon as well. Like I said earlier, any donation helps the channel greatly. It helps me fund all these cool projects. But I'm gonna let the video play out. Have a good day, guys. See you later.